Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Data Dojo podcast. Today, I'm very excited because I have two data science leaders with me. It's the first time that I have two data science leaders on this podcast. So, I'm going to talk a lot more about strategy and how scaling with AI. So, it's going to be a lot more strategy and insight focused. So I have Rami and Shravya today. I've known them both through their content creation on LinkedIn, podcasting, newsletter. They are the AI influencers. So make sure to follow them. I will add their LinkedIn and podcast and newsletter to the description below. And I've had the honor to be in events with them together. So it's been an honor to know both of you on a personal note as well. Rami is a senior data science manager with Apple. He has over 130K followers on LinkedIn. So he is the OG data AI influencer. He also has a newsletter where he shares about ML ops, books recommendation, data science tutorial, and a lot of cool things. Shravya is also a senior data science manager with Grammarly, and I've had a pleasure of working with her on a couple of events. She also has a podcast, and I will add the link to it in the description. And she's also a LinkedIn influencer with over 40K, almost 40K followers. Super excited to have you both today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the invite.
Thank you so much, Swagata. I mean, it was really nice to hear an introduction
All
about.
your accomplishments and everything
Yeah,
you do.
thank you. Really kind of you. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm gonna pick your brains a little bit on AI strategy, scaling, because you both are leading data science teams across big organizations. So my first question is, we've been hearing a lot about, AI is such a buzz, and a lot of companies are good building prototypes and MVPs, but when it comes to scaling and productionizing things, it's not giving the actual ROI promised. So in your opinion, do you agree with this, with your experience so far? And what are some common challenges and obstacles that enterprises could be facing? Rami, do you want to share?
So I can start and full disclosure, I'm not representing Apple in this talk, but I can tell you from generally that I think the challenge when trying to deploy stuff in production is the level of readiness of infrastructure, the data, and also I think there's a stakeholders that understanding what they're going to get in return. And I think when you're not aligned on those, it's where you will have challenges. And I think understanding in the get-go, maybe start with POC and get alignments. Also, the size of the team is, I think, matter because if you are trying to adopt any new technology, you will exhaust your team.
Mhm.
And things are now running like speed of light, right? Like you are, hey, this is RAG. Oh, RAG is not relevant. Oh, this is now agents. And this is the next thing. And this is the next thing. And so trying to catch up, sometimes if you are, I think it also depends like the size of the company. If you're working in the big companies and there are teams that are more capable, let them lead the way,
Mhm.
let them open the path for you. And when you have something that is mature, adopt it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rami covered most of it. What I'd like to say, I think especially in the world of LLMs, the hard part is world is a different ball game altogether. The type of users and how people are going to use your product is not, or I don't want to say not. I mean, you probably have a great eval system that you came up with. You've tested all use cases, but you wouldn't imagine the corner cases that are not actually corner cases anymore. You think in your training, like when you come up with stuff, you think they're corner cases, but there could be those cases that actually end up making the system go down, especially if you're dealing with something related to payments and anything related to that, which is like enterprise, right? So I think there's both wonderful things that LLMs unlock, and along with that comes the non-deterministic nature of them, right?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's complicated. It's almost like dealing with a really smart toddler or maybe like a young kid.
Yeah.
They're too smart that you think they're an adult that speak like adults, and right when you hit with them a complicated situation, they are still a kid. They're not an adult. It's
Yeah.
something like that that I think I see happen with LLMs time and again. We think of POCs, we think of this really wonderful, idea that we can run agentic way, but
Yeah.
then when you hit it with exceptions, that's when the system collapses.
Right.
So it's all about, I think, the balance, right? So I'm sure the technology is going to catch up. The problems that I'm talking about right now probably wouldn't exist in 3 years from now or something. But these are today's problems for sure. If you want to do things at scale, I would probably say start slow, especially, and then iterate and see what works, what sticks, and obviously having human in the loops, and we can talk about that. But having quality ULs and ensuring all of that gets covered, and
Yeah.
that's probably a way to go. We are obviously, it's not about stopping; it's all about ensuring you have the right guardrails.
Yeah, yeah. I think I agree with both the points, everything that you mentioned. And in my experience, having a very cross-collaborative team from the beginning itself, like involving quality from the beginning, even during the POCs, and helping with guardrails, because responsible AI and ethical AI is no longer like a nice to have. It's such a mandatory thing. So having cross-collaboration from the beginning really helps to scale up, because then you identify these corner cases, like you mentioned, pretty early on, and you can have those fixes early on. So, Rami, you also mentioned about the, AI agents today. Something is going to come up now, multi-agents, MCPs, E2A, everything. Every day is like a new buzzword that is coming up, and companies are trying to play this catch up. And there is a lot of pressure in AI and data teams to balance between, okay, we need to deploy really fast, deploy new things, but also we need to build robust, scalable, ethical systems. So is there any like framework approach on how do you balance these both of you? Do you have any tips and tricks?
They want-
You want to go first?
I mean, this, I'll be honest, this has been a problem since technology started or even industrialization, right? Probably it's exponentially increased in the pace, right? It's always that what you're taught at school is entirely different than what you're working on, and what you're working on right now, probably in 2 years from now, is entirely different. We can look at data science, where it was not even, there was no data science, it was statistics, right? It was statistician. And from then we moved on to R, and then Python. MATLAB, I remember at some point was a big thing, and then R and Python. And now it's all about like understanding LLMs and APIs. Like, how do we make sure like we do the proper vibe coding and get there, right? So to me, the right balance, like I probably mentioned before, is uh, have something reliable that you have set guardrails, and that will work while working on POCs, while keeping like stretch goals and project like 5%, 10%, depending on the area. Probably if you're like maybe payments or banking or anything related to that, you have less room to play with, because you just can't have like guardrails be like, you need to have a certain set of quality for it to go into production, versus maybe it's a chatbot that you're trying to do, that you're trying to test a new way of getting at it. Probably not much, because at the end of the day you could always intercept saying call this number if something goes wrong, right? You
Mhm.
could have a feedback with the person who's chatting. So I would probably say always have something that's reliable, like in production, and that's your main product,
Mhm.
while having a stretch of like the 20% to 5% or 1%, depending on the type of domain you are in, and how much you could like room that you
Right.
could play with, and use that to innovate and test and try POCs, and what's good ROI, and all of that.
Yeah, 100% agree. Great points. Rami?
Yeah, I can maybe add to those points, as well as the transitioning, that transformation of both on the data science side and stakeholders that you're working, because some of the stuff are, if you tell me like few years ago that you can do what we can do today, I would tell you it's a science fiction. And so
Mhm.
like the gaps is not moving from linear regression to XGBoost. It's like much like it's like the jumps are much higher. And I think also the preparation about, some people expect it to be some magic, which is not. Right. At the end of the day, it's still statistical model at its core and probabilistic model. And I think setting the expectation and what it can do and what it cannot or should not do
Mhm.
is very important, because otherwise, try to deploy something, and then if the the expectations are not there, there are going to be
Yeah.
some adoption challenges.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, to be honest, anything and everything that technically data science or any other team runs through, it's having stakeholders in the loop and ensuring that like everyone understands what is getting launched, what are like the pros and cons that are going to come with it, and do we agree that this is something that we like, are on the same page is very important, especially even more important when we are trying something like entirely new that the industry is still trying and we no one knows if it's going to work or not. Like that's when you have to be even more on the same page with your stakeholders.
And
Yeah.
maybe something that I learned the hard way in my career is not every project get adopted. And
Hmm.
so in the past, like I used to spend a lot of time from the get-go to work on a project that will go to production. But then I realized that maybe like the amount of time that you spend on each project that eventually not all the projects go into production, maybe it's worth start on the POCs and see the adoptions and then spend the effort to move to production where your
Hmm.
stakeholders are already adopting and using and are happy from what you are creating. So then like you are maximize your time only when adoption take place, and then this is the point that you are transitioning to production.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. I think what we did also, based on everything that you said, we had like a core team of like 10 cross-functional people who are working on like this new AI product. It's like a chatbot, so had a little bit room of errors. But then other people are like holding the fort with our main product. So these 10 engineer, design, all the collaborative people can build iteratively, get feedback, build on top from the feedback. So we're not losing the speed. At the same time, we have people who are maintaining that the main product offering that we have. So I think it's a good balance to have.
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on, I think I want to know a little bit about what are the different strategies that, let's say we have, a lot of SLMs coming up now. We have existing LLMs that you can prompt tune, fine tune, build rags. So when you're trying to solve a use case and you have all these different options, should I build my own SLM? Should I fine tune? Should I use a rag? What is I know it depends case by case, but if you could give like a framework or examples on how do you decide which strategy to use for an LLM solution? Who wants to go first?
I personally, I mean, you could probably edit this out, but I personally don't have experience from my team with it, but I could talk about probably like overall. Maybe Rami, do you want to go first? I'll add on to that.
Yeah, I think the maybe uh, I usually look at the ROI where like before it's something again like that I learned the hard way is I transition from do it yourself to more like adopting robust stuff that are enterprise level because there is a cost and trade-off between do it yourself or tune it or at that scale um, that you find yourself spending more time on maintaining the infrastructure rather than trying to solve the problem, like the business problem. And I think this is where um, holistically I over time when I like whenever someone reach out to me, hey, we have this new tool and this is so
Yeah.
cool. I am always ask what is the cost of maintaining it? What like the benefits of like there are so many tools, right? And what would be the extra cost of someone will have to maintain it, like long-term maintenance and those costs that usually people, or at least I was not thinking when I was in early in my career and adopting other tools. But then when you find yourself that some amount of your team is actually spending time on maintaining and supposed to push stuff forward,
Yeah.
I think that's a big consideration about how to like should I tune it or should I take a
Hmm.
pre-tune?
Fair. Yeah.
I mean, I can add on to Rami's point for sure that POCs could be anything. If it's you're trying it out, you could try it out with any framework that you have, like SLM versus RAG versus do it yourself, sort of a thing. But anything you want uh, that needs to be scaled, then it's a 1 year. You look at 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. How
Hmm.
does it look like in that time span? Is it worth the engineer's time? Is it worth the infrastructure's cost? Like, all of that comes into play. And that's how we make decisions. Sometimes maybe POC is also not worth it. You'd rather work on a POC that's you see some value where you could maintain it and you wouldn't even go for the POC. And it's also, like you said, it's dependent on the use case. Different use cases is different, options altogether to
Mm.
start with. Some use cases don't even have an option to go in a SLM route or a RAG route. Some use cases do have that as an option. And then all of these discussions about infra and maintenance and human hours, all of that come into the picture.
Right. So you would say like the cost of infra maintenance resources as the main driver. Of course, like the metrics like accuracy and like all those metrics depending on the use case, like a combination of these two would help you decide which method to choose.
So that's return, right? So what you're talking about, the accuracy metrics, like what are we? That's return, and investment would be the infra and number of hours and all of that. So ROI is like one divided by the other. What makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and do we even have time and energy to go down that route? So we probably sometimes we take the route that is not highly accurate for a good ROI purposes with like a target or a goal to get to that, like a better model or a better accuracy and all that. And these are the trade-offs that happen day in and day out, especially the bigger the company, the lesser and the type of like I said, how much room do you have
Yeah.
to work with? And it depends on that.
Mhm. Makes sense. And I don't know, sometimes it need not even be like a AI solution. We still use some like traditional regression models for some of the use cases, and it works really well. Have you guys been using any traditional ML in the past 3 years, or has it always been like AI-based solution?
I mean, we still use traditional ML for a bunch of things.
Mm.
LLM is wonderful. It's amazing, but it still has its use cases, right? It's expensive to when do we want to call it? How do we want to call it? Like it's a combination of a bunch of things. So I have a bunch of use cases with traditional ML is still like what we are using, and yeah,
Yeah.
along with
I think
obviously use cases that we use LLMs and other things too. But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that I still the most frequent model I'm using is linear regression at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In the domain of forecasting, still
Mm.
doing the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it works well. Awesome. One last question before we move to the lightning round. So, a lot of people who are mid-career have been ICs for a while. I hear that, there is a problem in moving up the ladder. Like, how do we switch from being great ICs to great data science leaders? What are some skills? And that's changed so much and evolved so much in the past 2, 3 years. So, as data science leaders yourself, what would you advise people who want to switch to data science leadership roles? What are some core competencies that will help you go from IC to leadership position?
First, I want to tackle that. I think world how corporate jobs are there are kind of shifting. Going up the ladder doesn't always mean management anymore. It's being a tech lead and going up the ladder is absolutely like a very possible and a route that I know more and more. Like I have my peers, more and more people are taking those routes. So just wanted to talk about that because growing up, I didn't know about that as a route. To me, going up in the ladder always meant being in a leadership position, like managing teams. Though I am managing team right now, all I wanted to say for the people who are listening in, that's not the only route. That's number one.
Mhm.
That said, even though as a tech lead, you're considered a leader, you're considered to lead areas, to be at a place where you uh, actually have an opinion on what should be done, what should be the next focus of the teams or projects and all of that. To me, if I jot down what are the important things that I look for when I hire
Mhm.
for a leader, communication comes number one, ensuring that you communicate the right level to the right audience. This is something that's hard to get an understanding in an interview, but definitely while I look for promoting promotions within my team, like are they communicating the right level to the right people? Like
Mhm.
if someone's speaking to a CEO and you're talking about a project, you speak a certain way. You don't give all the details. You talk about what is one thing that a CEO would need to remember and take away.
Right.
Versus if you're talking to your product manager who's like so down in the funnel, you want to
Mhm.
tell them the experiment and what to go after, the hypothesis and the detail behind it, right? Versus along with not being too technical about it, versus when you try to do that with your team, you get technical. You get into the details and weeds of probably like p-values, statistics, like
Mhm.
the errors and whatnot, right? So right level of communication based on the audience and the um, setting you're in, the environment you're in,
Mhm.
is very important.
Mhm.
And the second one would be ownership. Someone who ownership and accountability. Someone who gets the job, they get it done. Irrespective of what you deal with, you have issues, you have, like, all of that, you raise it up, you escalate. You basically, if a task is given to you, how do you ensure that you close the loop and you run through the finish line? That to me is a leader, because they take the responsibility, and do not talk about. I mean, I'm sure we all encounter a lot of roadblocks, but how do they uncover them? How do they get over them? What type of people do they involve in the process? That is another very important thing for me.
Yeah, great points. Anything to add, Rami?
I think the communication is really
Yeah.
big skills. I think understanding the business that you're embedded into,
Mm,
what their needs, what are the pain, how can you leverage data science to help them. I think understanding the bigger picture
mm,
is help you to succeed as a leader, or and promote data science to help your stakeholder. I think it's another thing to add.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Impact, right? Impact is the most modern thing. I probably, when I said ownership and accountability, you follow through the impact basically, and
Yeah.
thank you for
Mm,
connecting that. Irrespective of where you are, you could. I talk to this when I hire interns, that even as an intern, you're thinking that my scope's small. What could I do? That's not the mindset. You could be a leader, being an
yeah.
intern as well, right? You could have a point of view. You could have this first principle thinking that you challenge status quo and
Yeah.
go after this and talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea of Amazon Prime came from one of the software interns, if I'm not wrong. So you
Oh,
never know. You speak up.
absolutely.
And awesome. Those were really great insights. I want to switch gears and move to the lightning round. And hope you're ready. We are going to ask you 10 questions, and you can't take too much time.
Heck, let's go.
Okay, who wants to go first? Because you'll maintain the order then. One of you
Rami, go
at
for
this
it.
point.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay, Rami, what is your morning coffee? Drip, espresso, decaf, tea?
Cappuccino. I'm using Nespresso. I'm very. It's a good question. Thank you. I using yeah. I love every morning. It's
We
like
want to know the morning fuel. Okay.
it's a ceremony. Yes,
It's a
cappuccino.
ceremony. I love it. I'm going to remember this.
What about you, Shravya?
I don't drink coffee or tea, actually.
Oh my God, what fuels you?
Uh, I think just warm water. I just have a bunch of warm water to start with. Yeah.
Wow,
Very
I'm
good.
Team Rami. It's like a whole thing.
It's probably healthier to drink hot water than coffee, but
What is your favorite open source AI framework right now?
I love in the domain of time series Nixla. It's the big framework for forecasting. It includes from traditional statistical models to machine learning and deep learning. They have also a LLM foundation model. So like they are really doing a great job on
Yeah.
including all the components.
Okay, I didn't know about it. Noted. Shravya?
To me, I mean, I basically tried a bunch of things. I don't have a favorite for per se, but yeah, I would definitely tell people to try a few things, one for one reason and the other for other use cases. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many good AI tools. Try everything. Any one tool in your day-to-day that you can't live without? It need not be an AI tool, any tool.
Docker.
I did read about like the Docker captain thing. It's very cool. Shravya?
One tool that I can live without, Grammarly. I,
Of course.
I'm a power user of Grammarly, by the way.
oh, you are
It's a
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
we have security settings that I sometimes get logged out of my enterprise account, and I'm like, oh no, I feel it, I miss it so much. So yeah, for sure, Emily.
So, do you have any go-to metric for monitoring all your models, your favorite model in production? Any go-to metric, your favorite metric?
I can go first. I in the domain of supervised learning. That's why I love supervised learning. That you have a measurement in
Yeah.
time series is root mean square or map. Usually map when you're working with stakeholders because it's percentage and you can explain it better. But that's why I love it's more clear than when you're working with LMs and someone need to say, oh, this answer was really bad
Yeah.
and log it. But there's a big challenge now to how to track
Mm.
LLMs and stuff like this.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I was going to go for MAPE as well, specifically because that's most popular among stakeholders. Everyone understands that, and that's something that you talk about when you talk about a model and how is the performance. So
Yeah. Okay. Common answer. Um, what is one biggest AI myth that you would like to debunk?
Where to start?
Has to be one. I know there are lots, but pick one.
I think was mentioned before that AI it started as statistic and its core is still statistic. Right?
Hmm.
There was a lot of rebranding, but people think like, AI, it was one of the best rebrand ever.
Yeah.
Right? If you go and look at the search in Google about AI before ChatGPT and after, you will see like that's the point that people start to search and
Yeah.
thought it was machine learning. But yeah, I think at its core, it's still statistic, probabilistic models, and
Yeah.
a lot of math.
Hmm. Fair.
it's so what Rami said is opposite of the myth, right? It's like the truth of AI is statistics. Basically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI is the myth. Basically, is AI is not some
Yeah.
magic that's happening today. It's been happening from a long time, and its
Hmm.
core comes from man, and that's good. What I want to say, myth is AI is not going to replace us, guys. AI is
Yes.
not replacing anyone.
Agreed. 100%. What is your preferred way of learning about AI trends? Podcast, newsletter, video, LinkedIn? Rami.
I'm a video person. I have hard time to read.
Okay.
My focus is when reading is going down, but yeah,
Hmm.
easier for me.
Shravya?
Me too. I do videos, podcast videos or audios, and sometime on LinkedIn there are a few people I follow that I look for their posts and a combination I would say, but majorly video podcasts. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, mine too. Last question. Which industry do you think is going to see the biggest AI leap next? What are you betting on?
Which industries have already seen an AI leap? Do we know that answer for that?
I mean, every other company is like doing SaaS. I think healthcare is also catching up now. It's doing pretty well with AI, finance, so many fintech startups. I think for me, ag tech is going to see a boom. Longevity startups are going to see a boom. But yeah, I'm curious to know.
I heard about a startup today, insurance startup that's doing AI. I was like, apparently it raised 25, 30 million, and these are not even people in the US. So for a first round, I thought that was pretty awesome. And for a non-popular area like insurance, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think generally startups they're going to get a huge boost because there's like tools that enable you to develop will enable you
Hmm.
to develop faster at lower cost, at lower human capital cost, and you will see more like the ability to create ideas and create prototype is now easier than ever because of tools
Right.
like Claude Code or similar.
Hmm.
And so I think uh, this is where we'll see like like startups know how to take ideas and make them like as some companies, most of them do not succeed, but some that we hear about the one that do. And I think now it'd be easier to enter those type of industries or like type of framework.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you so much. I think those were all my questions. Before we wrap, do you have any last minute thoughts, anything you want to share with the audience?
It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Swagata. I think all I wanted to say is, yes, we talked about AI a bunch, but I would probably tell everyone to be curious, like understand where your strengths are and focus on them, because it's AI today, it's going to be robotics tomorrow or whatever. So hone in on your skills, and that's what's going to keep you in any technology storm that comes at it.
Rami, anything you want to add?
Don't be shy to adopt new tools. I think that like if you look at it from the point that ChatGPT was introduced, that was like the flood of AI started. A lot of people um, were shy to use like like tools like, hey, why should I create code with
Yeah.
right? Or vibe coding. I think a lot of YouTubers made the vibe coding like a bad, reputation. But I think understand how we can use it. Like uh, AI again, like AI won't replace you, but someone that's using AI will replace you, right? So that's I think that
Absolutely. And don't
the
skip the
way,
fundamentals, like just learn the fundamentals and learn these
yes.
tools.
You cannot skip if you really wanted to be good in this. You cannot skip like the fundamental or foundations. Like a linear regression will still be the foundation of everything, right? The probability, the linear algebra, right? You can. I don't think
Yeah.
once you know, yes, go do the magic. But understanding how this magic is happening on the backend will help you to use it better.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you both for your time. These were really valuable insights. I personally learned a lot, so I'm looking forward to how the audience will benefit from this. Thank you so much.